Stay tuned and join me as we finally open up the whole Marvel Legends Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember you can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Quite simply show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. And today we are finally opening up the whole Marvel Legends Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave. And if you've been following this channel this year, then you know I was very excited to get this Iron Man centric comic book wave added to the collection with new Iron Man characters, of course an updated version of Ultron, an A-list villain, new characters like Riri Williams, and of course the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure to sort of keep adding to that winter guard for the shelf. So I was definitely excited to get this wave, and it has been upstairs in my review station for a little while, but just kept knocking down the pegging order for whatever reason. I had other figures coming through. This year has been a case of distribution issues. However, if I don't open up a Marvel Legend on camera, have I even got that Marvel Legend? So of course I had to wait until I could get these in front of camera, and as now we are slowly counting down to the end of the year, I am sure we have some top 10 candidates within these Legends on the table. So I had to get them all open. So as I said, strap yourselves in as I'm going to be opening every single one of these Marvel Legends here today. As I said, you can see them here now with the side art looking beautiful as well. Characters I'm very eager to get on the shelf, including that Ultron, including that Modular Iron Man and Riri Williams, and more Iron Man armors for the display as well with the stealth and the AI version. So yeah, very happy to get this wave. So of course, we're going to open these up one by one, but let's have a look at the Build-A-Figure. So here we have a look at the Build-A-Bear, if you will, aka Ursa Major, who is of course a member of the Winter Guard, the Russian equivalent of the Avengers. That team also includes Darkstar, who is also in this wave, as well as 4 Iron Man characters, which as I mentioned, it is an Iron Man centric wave, and then a couple of other villains with the army builder potentially as the Guardsman, and then an A-list villain in Ultron, a much needed update. So yeah, a very worthy wave, and you will need to buy 6 of these figures in the wave to build Ursa Major. So let's go through this one time so I don't have to do it every time I look at a box. So first, of course, you do not need the Modular Iron Man. He doesn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece. You will need to buy the Guardsman, the Stealth Iron Man, Darkstar, Ironheart, Hologram Iron Man, and Ultron. You buy the 6 of the 7 figures in the wave and you will be able to build your own bear with Ursa Major. But without further ado, let's just get into things, shall we? And open up the one I was most anticipating. It is, of course, Ultron. Taking a look at Ultron in the box, you can see he does come with a set of interchangeable hands, as well as that Kirby crackle, which will fit in his mouth for display, and of course as well a Build-A-Figure piece for the Ursa Major. As I mentioned, there's the Ultron logo at the top. Spinning around on the back, we're getting that promo image we've seen on the side. Now on the back with a write-up that reads, "Robot maniacal genius, science experiment gone wrong, Ultron is the supreme weapon of mass destruction and a mortal threat to the Avengers and all mankind." So without further ado, let's get him open. Here we have Ultron out of the packaging with all of his accessories on the table, including the Build-A-Figure piece. I'll move that to one side. Ultron himself comes with a couple of interchangeable hands, and then of course this glorious Kirby crackle, which will fit into that hollow mouth, which we will zoom in and have a look at in a minute. But first impressions, Ultron looks glorious. Very much a chrome looking figure with no marbleization, and it is a completely new sculpt. I don't see any reuse here at all. This screams my mind's eye version of comic Ultron, which is all I can ask for from a Marvel Legend. So this will fit pride and place within the villains in my display, I am sure. He looked very nice, like he's jumped off the comic page, and yeah, look forward to adding this one to the display. So of course, let's take a closer look. Starting up the head sculpt, and look, Ultron is an evil robot, and that's exactly what this head sculpt portrays, with the sort of red eyes really standing out against that chrome robotic head sculpt. And it looks like face on, that's just a black sort of painted jaw, but if I spin it around to the side, you can see that is actually a sculpted hollow piece of the jaw that's just painted black on the inside. So you have room in there to put in the Kirby crackle accessory. So this accessory piece looks really nice, by the way, just a translucent sort of orangey yellow plastic with some red hits on there, sort of looks fiery, and you can literally slide that into his jaw so we can literally get a grip on that. And there we have our classic Kirby crackle, just like it's lifted from the comic page. That looks beautiful, and the sort of metallic chrome against that translucent sort of reddish orangey effect really does help it pop. So that is a very nice touch. Now looking at the rest of the figure, this is all newly sculpted, no reuse here at all. And just first things first, usually when we get characters with a bit of metal on them, Hasbro uses sort of marbleization plastic, which doesn't bother me personally, but I know some people don't like it. However, Ultron has no marbleization at all. He's hit with this very nice sort of sharp, clean, crisp chrome, which does help him sort of glisten under the lights, but in a good way. There's no marbleization or anything sloppy. It does look really clean and crisp. So yeah, Ultron has got a really nice coat of paint on him, and all this sculpted work on the body as well is really nice and helps hide some of the points of articulation as well, including like down here, you've got the waist swivel hidden underneath the sculpted about, of course, but of course we've got the diaphragm joint up here as well, so you get Ultron literally rocking around up there, no problem at all. The shoulder pads are a separate piece so they don't hinder the articulation going around or going up to 90. On the top of the arms you can see there's a cut there, and it looks like there's a slightly different colour in chrome from the shoulders down to the arms, but it doesn't bother me at all. I actually quite like the contrast. We've got sort of robot abs moving down to the crotch area, and then again more hidden articulation here at the upper thigh where we've got these sculpted pieces, and that's where they've very cleverly hidden the thigh cut. Moving down to the knees, you've got double jointed knees that work beautiful here, and then down, even though Ultron isn't wearing boots, you do get a nicely hidden boot cut, again hidden very nicely in the sculpted detail of Ultron. So yeah, all in all people, for a robot this guy is going to have a lot of movement, and again with that Kirby crackle the colours really do help it pop. On the figure in the box it comes with that open palm hand, that sort of menacing sort of challenging on the world type pose, as well as a C-grip hand that you can use for holding things. We do get another C-grip hand, so he has a pair of them, and they can be used to hold the Kirby crackle as well, so it can be sort of looked like some sort of effect that Ultron is clutching, so they can hold that at all. But he does come with a set of fisted hands as well, so he can of course still punch someone as well, which is very nice. So again, this figure is clean, slick, very much accurate to what we see on the comic pages. Now we just need a Hank Pym and a lab coat and we can recreate Ultron being made on our shelf, because a lot of people think it was Tony Stark because of the MCU, but it wasn't. It was Hank Pym, as you know. And yeah, this is a glorious figure. Definitely the one I was most anticipating, and it hasn't let me down. Beautiful. Looking at scale, Ultron is about maybe 6 3/4 up to the top of his antennas on his head, which is very nice. He will fit in scale beautifully with your other villains. And if you do have other Ultrons in your collection already, like I do, I have these two, I can now use these as sort of Ultron drones or Ultron bots, if you will, to sort of command over this one. So I like that I can have these on the shelf posed together and still make use of the Ultrons on the shelf rather than just a straight up switch and replace. So there you go. We've got my Ultron Prime, if you will, against my Ultron bots and drones, and they even are a little bit shorter than him as well, which works out beautifully. Here we have Ultron compared to Dr. Doom and Psycho Man, and Kang and the High Evolutionary. Of course I wanted to see how we would compare next to Jocasta as well, as they will probably be displayed close to each other on the shelf, and as you can see she is appropriately a little bit shorter than Ultron, and also her colour palette is a little bit different as well. Her greys and chromes are a little bit darker, so it's a nice contrast against this Ultron. Here we have Ultron compared to a couple of Iron Man figures on that 80th anniversary body, which I'm sure we will see again in this wave. Finally, here we have Ultron compared to Captain Britain and worthy Hellfire Hank. Next up, let's look at a lot of people's mind's eye version of Iron Man, especially if you grew up reading comics and watching TV and playing computer games in the 90s. It is, of course, the Modular Iron Man, who doesn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece at all. He only comes with a set of interchangeable fisted hand and some repulsors effects. Iron Man on the front, Iron Man logo on the top there as well. Spin it around, we get a beautiful picture from the comics there of the Modular Iron Man armor, as well as a write-up that reads, "A dazzling technological achievement, the modular suit allows Tony Stark to reconfigure subsystems like boots, gloves and helmets and scanners on the fly." So again, a lot of people's going to love this figure on the shelf. This is a lot of people's Iron Man. Let's open him. Here we have the modular armor out of the packaging with those interchangeable fisted hands and the repulsor effects. No Build-A-Figure piece, but I can't help but think this guy is missing that giant cannon that sits on his shoulder. I think Mafex are taking care of that, or maybe you have a friend with a 3D printer. All the same though, this guy will still look great on a display, I am sure. Let's take a closer look. Looking at the helmet, you can see he has that gold faceplate with a very thick sculpted outline, which helps it stand out, which doesn't bother me at all. We've got the small slits for the eyes, which are blacked out, again helps them stand out. And then we have some sculpted elements on either side of the helmet, could be clips maybe, some more sculpted lines at the top, so I like that a lot. The body itself is made of this candy chrome red plastic, and unlike the Ultron, this does have marbling effects in it, which again doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers some people. But again, you can see it in there with that candy chrome red depending on how the light hits it. This piece reminds me of like the Superman logo, if you will, but it was there even before the arc reactor of the MCU. I think he had like a unibeam that shot out of it, but yeah, that looks very nice. We got the Iron Man abs, spin it around to the back. We got that sculpted line which separates the candy chrome red to the gold, which is very clean. I like that. Again, on the front, it sort of gives you that ab crunch, which is very nice as well, forward and back, which is pretty good. No complaints there, as well as a swivel here at the waist. Sort of cuts up the bout, unfortunately, because you can see how that sort of bout could be one piece, but it's not a big deal, to be fair. We've got some sculpted lines here. Even on the arms, we've got really sculpted details on the gloves, and see the gold pieces that you see on the gloves there at the top of the thigh, on the boots, and even on the knees. These are all separate pieces of plastic on top of the figure, which add a little bit of like a little added layer of dimension to the figure as well. So it looks a little bit more interesting to look at, a bit more of a silhouette, if you will. So yeah, these are all pieced on here, which I like that, and it doesn't obviously get in the way of articulation on the double joint elbows. The arms will go all the way up as well, even on the legs here. Even though that piece is there on the thigh cut, it's not, it's glued to the lower leg, not to the top bit, so it doesn't break it up. The knees are double jointed, which are pretty good, and even down here, ankle pivot, rocker, no problem at all. And even though the boots ain't like cut straight, there is still a nice boot swivel under there as well, so that's pretty good. So all in all, very nice range of articulation for this Iron Man figure. Very simple paint scheme with the gold and the red, but again, it screams Iron Man. And all these sort of pieces you see are sculpted sort of elements as well, so it's not just paint. There is a lot of sculpt on here, looking very nice. Even here on the back of the legs, you got sculpted detail, so I'm liking that. The arms he comes with are sort of repulsor hands with sort of a plug in for the blast effects that we have seen many a time on Marvel Legends. So if you're watching this review and never seen these, do you even collect Marvel Legends? But there you go, they plug in there, or the feet, no problem at all. Definitely make the display a little bit more interesting for our Iron Man characters. Oh, that one fell out. But yeah, looking good there, made of a dark blue. And what's good about these repulsor hands is that unlike some Iron Man, that Iron Man 80th anniversary I'm talking about, you actually have the hinge up and down, which I do appreciate. So you can have those hinges working for a flying pose maybe. Let's zoom back out. So as I said, the only other last accessory is of course interchangeable fisted hands, which I do always appreciate on a Legend, because for me, when they're posed up in like a hall of armor or something, I can have them standing neutral, and yeah, I appreciate that. I don't want to go too crazy with comparisons, but here we have Iron Man compared to two other red and gold Iron Man, with the 80th anniversary and then the Invincible Iron Man there as well, which is a bit more modern. But you can see there, definitely building out a comic hall of armor. But even though these are three clear different generations of Iron Man represented on the shelf, if you did however want to use this Tony Stark head on this one, yes, it does snap on the peg, no problem at all, but I do think it sits a little bit too high on the neck for this figure, unfortunately, but you can make it work. Of course, I needed to see how it looked next to War Machine, and as expected, they look amazing together. Here we have the modular armor compared to the other figure I've opened in this wave, which is of course Ultron. So far, 2 hits. Then finally, here we have modular Iron Man compared to Captain Britain and Worthy Hellfire Hank. Since I'm still on an Iron Man high, let's continue that theme by looking at Stealth Iron Man, which looks very nice in this sort of metallic midnight blue. He does come with a piece for the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure, interchangeable hands again, more repulsor blast, but this time he does come with an unmasked head for Tony Stark. Iron Man on the front and on the top. Spin it round, we're getting a beautiful picture of that Stealth Iron Man suit on the back, as well as a write-up that reads: the Mark 15 suit, codenamed Sneaky, gives Tony Stark a built-in cloaking system, dampening thrusters and and retro-reflective coating to deliver devastating stealth attacks on opponents. Yeah, looks beautiful. Didn't know it was Mark 15, now I do. Let's open them up. Here we have the Stealth Iron Man out of the packaging with all the accessories, including that Build-A-Figure piece. Move that there. We've got the head, hands and blasters. Let me move all that out the way. This figure, first and foremost, looks beautiful in this midnight chrome blue. It definitely stands out, but it is the exact same figure as this Marvel 80th anniversary Iron Man. And we have that re-released already in this AI sort of yellow and red as well. So these three figures are on the exact same Iron Man base body, just all with different deco. So if you have either one of these, you know what you're getting yourself in for with this blue one. So I'm not going to go for articulation or a sculpt or anything crazy like that, but we will take a closer look at the metallic blue and some of the different highlights. For starters, you can see some red highlights underneath that blue faceplate on the eye slits and on the mouth, and that faceplate is a different shade of blue to the plastic of the head as well. And that same sort of detail is all over the figure with different elements of blue. It's like they've used different blue plastic, but they're both very dark blue, so makes a very nice contrast. Remember, this armor is made of a reflective sort of coating, so it is meant to sort of bounce back the light. So depending on how the light hits, it sort of depends on what blue you see. I do think there's more marbleization here, which we've been talking about previously, but it works for this sort of character design. Again, red down the chest to match the red of the sort of eyes and mouth, but the rest of the figure is completely this dark blue. Again, different shades of blue, sort of more metallic on the arms compared to the dark midnight blue of the chest, and that same sort of element is sort of predominant all over the figure, where you can see where the sort of boots, gloves and sort of middle torso is all that darker blue, and then the sort of more sort of metallic-y blue is the legs and arms and then the faceplate. But it still looks very nice, honestly. Definitely a lot of people's first thought when they think of an alternative armor, so I'm not mad at Hasbro at all for giving us a repaint of that 80th armor in these colors. I think it looks great, and yeah, depending on how the light hits it, depends on what color blue you're going to see, but it works. So of course he comes in the box with two fisted hands, but it's an Iron Man figure. That's not enough. We do get a set of open palm repulsor blast hands, but this time the repulsor blasts are red to match the red highlights on this chrome blue figure. Have I said blue enough in this review? I think so, but there you go. That works out very nice. And of course we still get that unmasked Tony Stark head, which works, but I thought this would be a new face sculpt, but it's not. This is the exact same Tony Stark head we got with the 80th Iron Man, but it's just got a lighter skin tone, like a more pinkish skin tone, where this previous one is a bit more tanned. So yeah, the eyebrows seem a little bit darker as well, but on close inspection, it's the exact same head sculpt. You can see that with the hairstyle, with the two little flicks there on the quiff and the same moustache. It's just a different deco again to make it look different. So yeah, pick your preference, but it's the same head sculpt with a new paint job. Moving into some comparisons, I've already showed you this one, but no harm in looking at it again. All of these share the exact same base Iron Man body, so you can create your own Iron Man Hall of Armor in comic form right now. Here we have the Stealth Iron Man compared to War Machine, and again, these look great. Here we have the Iron Man compared to the Modular Iron Man and Ultron, all from this Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave, and so far, hit, hit, hit. And it doesn't matter how stealthy your Iron Man suit is, there is no escaping the wrath of Captain Britain and worthy Hellfire Hank. Let's keep this Iron Man train rolling and move on to the Hologram Iron Man, which is made of this lighter blue translucent plastic. Again, another armor to continue building our Hall of Armor. We get interchangeable hands, more repulsor blasts, the head for the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure, Iron Man on the front and on the top. Spin it around, we're getting a nice holographic picture there of Iron Man, as well as a write-up that reads, "Ever the inventor, Tony Stark takes flight in a holographic form, a computer-generated avatar, an enduring force for good." So yeah, this one seems interesting. Let's get them open. Here we have the Hologram Iron Man out of the packaging with all the accessories, including this epic-looking Ursa Major head sculpt. We look forward to building him, and we will at the end of the video. This guy right here comes with a set of interchangeable hands and repulsors. Let me move them out of the way and just let you know off the bat, this figure is exactly the same as the Iron Man Mark 47 that came in that Homecoming 2-pack with Iron Man from 2017, I believe. So this is essentially an MCU body mold, just sort of changed into this translucent blue. So even though it's technically not an MCU figure, it is sharing the same parts of an MCU Marvel Legend. So you could add it to like a Hall of Armor comic or MCU. I don't think the rules apply here. They do sort of blur a little bit. But yeah, if you have this figure, then you know what this one is in for. But still, let's take a closer look at some of the details. You would assume a hologram is transparent. However, not the case with the figure, unfortunately. You see my hand behind the figure there. It doesn't really come across as transparent as I would like a hologram armor to be. But they have tried to make it a little bit interesting with these white lines, just showing off some of the sculpted outlines, which does help because it is all one plastic. You can't really see any of the sculpt on there, even though we know it's there, as it is the exact same Iron Man here. So there are sculpted details, of course, but the white lines continue all the way down the front and none on the back. No white lines on the back. No need, because you'll be facing your figure front on like this. Even on the arms and on the hands, all the way down to the boots, you have got those white lines. Very subtle, and they do sort of just go around some of the sculpted work. But other than that, it is the same Iron Man figure we've already got, so you sort of know what range to expect. You got the ab crunch at the diaphragm, but it's not really an ab crunch, more of a diaphragm joint with a ball in there. And because there is a lot of mechanics in there, that sort of hinders the transparentness, unfortunately, because each element of the plastic does seem to be see-through, especially there on the arms. But as you take a closer look, you can see the mechanics of the figure. So again, it's really hard to do a transparent figure and still have all this articulation. So I'm not mad about it at all. You can see it more transparent there on the waist. So yeah, this is going to represent a hologram, another armor for a Hall of Armor display, whether it's comic, MCU, or whatever you want it to be. I still think you can get it to work, and yeah, it fits its purpose. Of course, in the packaging, he comes with those open palm hands that do have the hole in for the blast effect pieces, which we've seen many times before. You know the score, but it does help make a good Iron Man pose. So there you go. They work in the hands, and there are peg holes on the feet, but he does have a set of fisted hands as well. And you know me, for a simple Hall of Armor pose, that works out perfectly. So happy with that option. I obviously don't have any other hologram armors, but we do have this recent AI Iron Man. And like a lot of people, I was curious, does this Tony Stark translucent head fit on this translucent Iron Man body? Short answer, yes, it does technically just pop on the neck peg, but long answer, it doesn't really fit as nice as I would like. As you can see, the blues, first and foremost, are two different colour blues, so it doesn't match as nicely as I would like. However, you could argue that in a hologram form, the suit's a darker shade compared to the skin tone, so maybe you could make this work for a display. I don't think it's as bad as I expected it to be, but still not as nice as I would like either. But it does sort of work-ish. Here we have the hologram armor compared to two Gamerverse Iron Man figures, just to sort of show you can use any Iron Man armor, regardless of the source, to create a very nice display. And as I said, if anyone's seen my collection, you know I've got a nice MCU Hall of Armor, and I definitely think I could use this Iron Man in that display because it is on an MCU base mold, even though technically it's meant to be a comic figure. But it all works. Here we have the hologram armor compared to the other figures I've already reviewed in this wave, with the modular armor, Stealth armor, and Ultron. And if you're thinking there is no way Hank can hit a hologram, then you will be underestimating the ability that Hank has, because here we have Captain Britain and worthy Hellfire Hank. Now, we've seen the previous generation of Iron Man. How about the next generation with Riri Williams, aka Ironheart? And I've been hearing great things about this figure, so looking forward to getting it open. In the packaging, you will see that she comes with her own unique blast effects, which I've not seen in Legends before, as well as the Build-A-Figure piece for Ursa Major, interchangeable head and hands. And this is on a completely pinless, double-jointed female body mold. So definitely looking forward to opening this. Ironheart on the front. We've got the Ironheart logo at the top as well. Spin it around to the back, and I swear I've got the actual comic where this was the front cover. But we get a right up that reads: a certified super genius, Riri Williams turns a dorm room project into a high-tech, high-flying suit of armor and becomes a force for good. So yeah, as I said, definitely new generation of not just Iron Man, Marvel full stop. We may even see her in the MCU soon, but for now, we've got a new Marvel legend. Let's get her open. So here we have Riri out of the packaging with all of her accessories, including this Ursa Major Build-A-Figure piece. We will build him very shortly. Everything else on the table is for Riri herself. Now, I've only had this figure in hand for a couple of minutes out the box and can already tell it's got a great range of motion on this brand newly sculpted, double-jointed pinless female body. Honestly, I can already tell it's going to be great. So let's take a closer look. Obviously heavily influenced by Iron Man, that's why everything looks so familiar, but yet it is different. Even the stylized helmet here has a little bit more of a point to it than we're used to seeing, so I like that. She's got her own flavour to her armour. I like the blue highlights as well with the blue eyes, a little bit of blue on the forehead, matches the blue on the chest, and then also on the hands here as well. Other than that, everything else is the classic gold and red, which is really nice. And as I said, this is a completely pinless, double jointed figure. So let me just show you that real quick, because that is definitely something to take note of. Like, look at that, people. Like, you cannot get a better double jointed elbow and legs as well. Like, that is what we want on all our legends when possible. Pinless double joint with that amount of range. That is insane. So really liking that a lot. There is some nice sculpted detail as well for the armor on the chest here, on the waist. And then on the back, there is nicely sculpted sort of lines, but nothing really painted in on the back. It's all about the front. There's a little bit of grey sort of undercoat as well. It's like her armor is on top of some sort of grey bodysuit. So you can sort of see that coming through at the shoulders, here at the top of the thighs, and also at the neck. So there are a few different colours there peeking through, as well as those blue highlights. But as I said, it still has those classic colours. So let's look up top. So as I said, there's the helmet again, looking very nice, but I want to see this unmasked head. And there we see Riri Williams, the genius behind the helmet. And yeah, this face sculpt is gorgeous. I really like the sort of red glossy lips and the unique hairstyle. Definitely not seen this before in Legends. And obviously this is a completely new head sculpt. That's probably why. But yeah, just looks so smart, so nice. Definitely a great representation of what we've seen in the comic panels so far. And yeah, nice brown eyes as well. Yeah, just really smart face sculpt. No like sloppiness, really clean. It even looks like she's got a bit of rosy cheeks as well. So I don't know, I just really like this head sculpt. It's going to be hard. Like, do I display her with the unmasked head, or have the helmet on, or have her holding the helmet? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to decide. But yeah, head sculpt is great. So already the figure has fisted hands straight out of the box, which I always appreciate. But of course it's an Iron Man figure, so we get interchangeable open palm repulsor blast hands. Of course we do. She even comes with her own repulsor blast effects that are slightly different to anything we've seen before from Legends. Usually we get these ones with the big like sort of star effect coming from the palm. Hers are a little bit more subtle, if you will, but I like how they're consistent with the colours. Both of the blues match regardless of the effect pieces, and I'm sure we can use both of these anyway. Let me try and plug one of them in. So yeah, of course it's the same peg size, so you can use both type of effect pieces, but she comes with two of the new ones, which you can use on her palms, of course, but also for her feet, as there are peg holes on the feet, which I like. And that is also where I want to sort of use these effect pieces as well. Now, I believe we've seen these before with War Machine, just in a slightly different colour, but it's like a sort of smoke trail, if you will, from like a repulsor blast or maybe a boot jet. So let's try and wrap these around the boot. So you can obviously wrap these around the accessory piece first and foremost. You can literally just slide that in there. However, I think I can sort of just wrap this around the boot. And yes, you can. They wrap around the boots, no problem at all, to sort of create some sort of smoke trail. And of course, there is still room for the repulsor blast in the boots there. So you can get her like flying around with a bit of smoke trail. Maybe you can wrap these around a little bit better, like maybe do that. As I said, play around with it. Don't copy me, but still, you can definitely do some things which are unique. We've not seen these before, so I like when they add new things to sort of spruce up the display. And of course, you can use them on the wrists as well. You can either wrap them behind the wrist like I have on this hand, or you can put it in front of the palm of the hand like I have on this one. So again, I don't think there's any correct way, any way you want. I actually like it behind the wrist as well. It sort of makes it sit a little bit more straight, where on this side, it sort of flops down a little bit, especially when you've got a hand up, because unfortunately, there is no hinge in the palm of the hand. So you're going to have to finagle it for posing. But still, I love that we've got these options. I love new effect pieces that bring the shelf to life a little bit. So options, and you know what I like around here? Options. Moving straight into some comparisons, here we have Riri Williams compared to Tony Stark from the all new, all different era of Marvel. So I believe these two go together on the display. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, but I do think that's when Riri started to appear. And yeah, these two scale very nicely together. As I said, Riri is on a new body, so you can see she sits at like exactly 6 inches tall, so she's going to fit very nicely on the shelf, I am sure. The only other female body I've sort of got to hand next to me on the shelf here is the Into the Spider-Verse Gwen Stacy, and you can see that she's just a tiny bit taller than Gwen, so I do think she is appropriately scaled for sort of a teenage female within the Marvel world. Here we have Ironheart compared to a couple of the 80th anniversary body mold Iron Man figures. And to compare her next to some other figures in this wave, here we have the Modular Iron Man and the Stealth Suit Armor. And of course, Ultron and the Hologram Iron Man. And here we have Ironheart aka Riri Williams compared to Captain Britain and Worthy Hellfire Hank. Moving on to Guardsman, who technically could be an army builder in this wave. Looks very nice in this sort of metallic green with a couple of different shades there as well. He comes with a ray gun, I'm sure we've seen before, interchangeable fisted hands and a Build-A-Figure piece for the Ursa Major. So we get Iron Man on the front, Iron Man on the top, as he is an Iron Man sort of villain. On the back, we're getting a comic picture of the Guardsman, as well as a write-up that reads, with armor equipped with repulsor rays, high carbon steel alloy mesh and radiation shielding, Vault Guardsman sets his sights on the complete destruction of Iron Man. So I am tempted. How many of these should I get? I need at least 2, right? Let's open them up. Here's the Vault Guardsman out of the packaging. There's that Ursa Major Build-A-Bear piece. Very nearly got all the pieces for him now. And of course, him himself comes with the interchangeable fisted hands and the gun. So again, I like this figure. I like adding new characters to the shelf. I will probably buy another one of these to have them represented as a pair maybe. But let's take a closer look. So the Guardsman does have a unique helmet choice. I'm not going to say what it looks like, but I'm also not going to ask what his fetishes are. But it is a separate piece over a head sculpt. You can sort of see that little gap there above the nose. So there is a bit of dimension there on the figure. I don't hate it. I like his white beady eyes. They're very clear to see as well. And the dark green of the helmet does match the darker green of the chest and the sort of crotch piece. And that's where the sort of sculpted work is. There's a sculpted line all the way across the chest that sort of separate the two colours of green. So that is nice and clean. And again, the sort of crotch piece matches the upper torso and the helmet. All the other bits are painted on. The sort of glove piece is painted on. This strap line of darker green is painted over the lighter green. Same on this hand. And then the boot cut separates the two greens on the body. And you can see the more swirly, twirly plastic used on this guy as well, more predominant. Again, it doesn't bother me. I've always quite liked it. I know some people don't. But again, no complaints from me on that. It's a shiny sort of green metallic bouncing off my lights a little bit now as well. But I like this guy. Very green. Definitely going to pop on the shelf if you've got him next to non-green characters, that's for sure. It looks like he could fit right in with the Serpent Society, to be honest. But again, probably going to have to buy another one of these as he is an army builder. He himself comes with 2 C-grip hands, and he does come with something to hold, which is, of course, his gun, which I'm sure we've seen before in Legends form, but I just can't pick out the brain where it's from. You let me know in the comments. But again, he holds that. No trigger finger hand, but there's also no guard for the trigger either, so he can just sort of hold it like that, and it sort of works. But he is a guard after all, so my guy's probably just going to be standing around holding the gun anyway. He's got no holster or anything. But yeah, he does come with, though, a set of interchangeable fisted hands for those more neutral poses. And of course, he can get himself into some fisticuffs as well if he wants to, which I'm sure he will. But yeah, there you go. I like this guy. Simple. There is a bit of reuse on here, but I'm not mad about it. I like adding new characters to the display. And yeah, I like the chrome green effect. This guy can definitely join the Green's villains crew. As you can see, Dr. Doom and Kang the Conqueror. Here we have him compared to a couple of their 80th anniversary body molds, and he is a little bit taller than the Iron Man. And we are nearly there, because here we have the Guardsman compared to the rest of the wave, apart from one who we will look at next. But here we have Modular Iron Man, Ironheart, Ultron, Hologram Armor and Stealth Suit. And of course, here we have the Guardsman compared to Captain Britain and Worthy Hellfire Hank. And of course, the last figure in this wave is another member of the Winter Guard to go along with Ursa Major, Darkstar. And she is packed with a couple of massive Build-A-Figure pieces for Ursa Major and a couple of interchangeable sets of hands. And her uniform is obviously the black and yellow. But she looks very nice. There we get Darkstar on the front. Nothing at the top, to be honest. On the back, we get a picture of Darkstar from the comic, as well as a write-up that reads, drafted as a Soviet operative on a nefarious mission, Lena Petrovna eventually broke free from the system and began to use her secret skills to her own ends. Her super secret skills, but you get the score. Let me spin around. Let's open her up. So here's Darkstar out of the packaging with those massive Build-A-Bear pieces, the last pieces we need. We will be building him very shortly, and she herself comes with 3 sets of hands, but the figure looks very simple and clean. I like it. Let's zoom in, take a look. So I really like the yellow cat's eyes. I think they stand out very nice, very striking with those glossy sort of purple lips. The headband, however, you can see that yellow circle is a little bit sloppy sloppy. It's like the paint overlaps the sculpt, which is unfortunate. The hair does have a little bit of a wash in it, as you can see if you spin it around. It goes all the way down to the lower back, and that wash does bring out some of the sculpt against the blonde. Spin it around to the front though, you can sort of see, especially here, there, how the hair is sculpted in a way where it's meant to sit over the shoulder, but it's like the head is too high on the peg, so it sort of just floats there, unfortunately. So maybe I'd have to Dremel the head and push the head down a little bit so I can get the hair sitting flush on the shoulder like it was intended. Other than that though, I do like the head sculpt. Other than that, there isn't a lot of paint detail. We get the yellow star on the chest, we get the yellow hands and gloves, and then the yellow boots, of course. Let me zoom out a little bit and you can see what I mean. So we get the yellow star here. As you arch back, you do get the paint continuing through, but as soon as you start spinning it, you're going to break up that design, which is unfortunate. The gloves obviously don't have a cut on there, even though it seems like they would, and these are the single jointed female body that we have seen a million times before, so we know what to expect here. There's the pins in the legs, which is unfortunate considering we do know that Hasbro now have a nicely double jointed pinless articulated body. I'm hoping we'll see more of that in the future, but for me this will be fine for the shelf. We've seen it before. She isn't wearing the heels at least, so we know it should stand a little bit better. Just got to make sure those legs don't go a little bit too gummy. But she comes with a set of sort of open palm magic hands, which we see on many a female, but we do have options here. So we get a set of C-grip hands with nothing to hold, and the fisted hands, which I do always appreciate for that more neutral pose and fighting pose, of course, especially when they're heroes fighting villains and all that. So even though it's a simple figure, I do really like the character design. It's just simple, black and yellow, but it stands out, and I like those yellow eyes. I just think I need to Dremel the head a little bit so the hair's going to sit flushly on the shoulder. Other than that, I think she's really nice. Here we have Darkstar compared to Red Guardian, another member of the Winter Guard, so these will pair nicely with Ursa Major when we build him in a minute. And yeah, we've got Crimson Dynamo as well. I do think we're just missing one or two more characters, but it's nice to know another team is on the way to being complete, and this wave alone single-handedly risen the aftermarket price of Red Guardian, because it didn't seem like a lot of people wanted him, and now they do. I wanted to do a comparison next to the Invisible Woman Sue Storm, but I just couldn't find her. And I can only just fit them all in frame, but here we have Darkstar compared to the rest of the figures in this Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave. Now we just need to build him. But yeah, here they are all posed together, and as expected, a solid wave. You're not getting away that easily, love. Here we have Darkstar compared to Captain Britain and Worthy Hellfire Hank. And here we have it, the moment I have been waiting for. Let's finally build this Ursa Major Build-A-Figure. Now, I'm well aware this video is already probably an hour long, so anyone who's still watching, I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments below, did you make it to Ursa Major? So I'm terrible at building these on camera, as you know, but this should be simple enough. So let me just zoom out a little bit so we can see what's going on. So the arms are usually pretty easy. So there's that, there's that. I might try and heat up the head and feet. To be honest, I might need a bit of behind the camera strength. Yeah, I'm going to. I'll be back. Pow, and there he is, all built up. The Build-A-Bear is complete. Ursa Major in his big bear glory, and this guy is a tank. I'm liking this a lot. Now, I thought there'd be a lot of reuse on here, but looking at this figure, it does seem like there's a lot of newness. I can't see where the reuse is, as it is like a completely furred sculpt. And yeah, this is nice. The head sculpt alone is beautiful as well. I wish there was an articulated jaw. There isn't, but I do like the pose, of course, for a giant bear. I wouldn't expect anything less. The teeth are painted nicely. The tongue's nice. The articulation has got pretty good range considering as well for a Build-A-Figure. So yeah, I'm liking this guy. He's going to pose up really nice on the shelf. Let's take a closer look. Take a closer look at that glorious, vicious head sculpt. As I said, he's got the glossy nose just like an animal would. The whited out eyes with the black outline really works. Nice open jaw with the yellow teeth and the pink tongue. And there's different shades of brown in the actual sculpt as well, which is really nice. Yeah, this is really good. I would have really liked an interchangeable head where he's not got the open jaw, or even an articulated jaw would have worked. I would have liked the options, but if we're only going to get one, I like how they've went for this. This definitely looks vicious, and it will look great on display. I love when you compose a figure that looks like it's coming to life on the shelf, and this guy definitely looks like he's about to pounce and get you. Not happy is he at all, but I like it a lot. So that's beautifully done. I like the big broad shoulders as well, and that sort of silhouette is made by this extra piece at the back. It's just an extra furry piece that sits over the shoulders and sort of hides the articulation as well at the shoulders, but it adds to that broad silhouette from the front, so that looks really good. But you can still, of course, bring the shoulders all the way up. So even for a builder figure, you get some nice range. And again, all sculpted fur all over this body with some nice shades of brown, some darkness to all the sort of sculpture as well, to bring out a bear with abs, for God's sake. This bear has abs. Yeah, has you ever seen a bear lifting weights in the woods? That would be scary. But yeah, this is beautiful. As I said, I thought there'd be reuse, but seems like a lot of newness. The claws are nice as well, but when you articulate the claws back, sorry, you can see the sculpt coming out a little bit. Don't bother me too much, but it does allow for a lot of range, like all the way back and all the way forward. Shoulders, as I said, really good range on them. You can get the arms going all the way up. Only a single joint in the elbows, though, of course, which is usually the case for a builder figure. The diaphragm has a ball joint in there, so you get lots of movement in there. This bear can do the twist. Legs can go out that far, go forward pretty far, and there's a single joint on the knee and a nice hinge for the foot as well. That is a nice ankle pivot. So this guy, you're going to be getting in some nice sort of pouncing poses, that is for sure. Ah, his head fell off. Okay, be careful posing that head because it will pop off the peg. So I was just pulling it a bit too much, to be fair. I just got a little overexcited. But yeah, this bear is beautiful. I understand the hype now, and yeah, I look forward to completing the Winter Guard. It's a builder figure, of course, so let's check out the scale. It is about 8 inches tall. I also want to see how he compares next to some members of the Winter Guard. That would make sense. So here we have Darkstar, that is in this wave as well, and then I've read Guardian. We do already have Crimson Dynamo as well in one of his modern sort of uniforms, but there has been many different versions of Crimson Dynamo, so hopefully Hasbro give us some more options. And I do think we're missing another member as well, but you can tell me in the comments. But you can see how he scales appropriately big, bulky bear compared to these two. For a builder figure comparison, here we have him next to Sasquatch and Themnu, and these two share a lot of the same parts. But as I keep saying, the builder bear here in the middle, Ursa Major, is all new, it seems. I don't really see the fur's completely different. There's areas on the Sasquatch where there is no fur at all. This guy is completely sculpted in fur. Really nice sort of paint detail in the shadow as well. So yeah, all new figure. As I was recently reviewing some of these retro Fantastic Four figures, here we have Ursa Major next to Mr. Fantastic and the Thing, as I wanted to see the scale. And as you can see, Ursa Major is taller than the Thing. And there you have it. Here we have the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave in its entirety. We've got the Holo Iron Man, the Modular Iron Man, Stealth Iron Man, Riri Williams Ironheart, Darkstar, Ultron, and the Vault's Guardsman. And of course, the Build-A-Bear, Build-A-Figure himself, Ursa Major. Honestly, people, I understand the hype. It is a solid wave, especially if you're an Iron Man fan. I love how you can add new characters to the display, but also add some sort of alternatives to the Iron Man, because you can't get enough Iron Man, for God's sake. You can create a hall of armor. And of course, Ultron, a much needed upgrade for Ultron, an A-list villain in my opinion. And this is definitely the best Marvel Legend Ultron there is. Beautiful, nice chrome. But I'm not going to talk anymore because this video is already about 3 hours long. So if you have stuck with me for all of my ramblings, I do appreciate you. You let me know your favorite figures of this wave in the comments below. And I will be doing a rankings and recap video for my channel members. So if you want to hear my final thoughts on this wave and where I rank them from my favorite to least favorite, make sure you check out that if you're a channel member. If not, don't be shy, hit that join button and you'll be able to watch it along with my other recap and ranking videos. So much appreciated. You know the score. If you want to see more Marvel Legends reviews, if this one wasn't enough for you, then please hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. You can also hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Quite simply show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. And yeah, I've sort of lost my breath after this. I appreciate everyone who stuck with me. It had to happen before the end of the year though. Ursa Major is finally here, added to the shelf, and will we see them again in my top 10s at the start of the year? We shall see. But until then, people, my name is Dan W. Follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And I'm on Twitter as well at Dan Who Reviews. Tweet me and I will of course see you on the next one.